Grace Mugabe's story has all the drama of a blockbuster, with powerful marriages, luxury beyond most people's dreams, and public scandals that never seem to fade. Her journey from presidential secretary to First Lady has left a visible trail of controversy and opulence across Zimbabwe and beyond. Tied to 2 husbands over the years, her personal life and rise are as talked about as her notorious spending, designer flair, and eye-watering net worth, with property portfolios stretching from Harare to Dubai, a taste for the finest brands, and assets unveiled in sensational court battles. Grace's finances have always drawn scrutiny. This post peels back the layers on her marriages, the scandals that put her in the global spotlight, and the staggering figures behind her estimated net worth heading into 2025. Get ready for an inside look at power, privilege, and the hard questions surrounding her wealth. From secretary to First Lady, the making of Grace Mugabe. Grace Mugabe's life tells a story packed with ambition, dramatic turns, and public spectacle. She rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most talked about women in Africa. Her transformation, from a secretary in government offices to the formidable First Lady of Zimbabwe, was shaped by her relationships, personal ambitions, and a controversial rise to power. Let's look at how her early life, to marriages, and unique partnership with Robert Mugabe forged her enduring legacy. Grace Mugabe's early life and first marriage. Born Grace Ntombizodwa Mugabe in Benoni, South Africa, in 1965, she came from modest roots. Her father stayed behind in South Africa for work while Grace moved to live with her mother in rural Chivu, Zimbabwe. Her childhood and school years were marked by the everyday struggles familiar to many Zimbabwean families. Education always mattered in her household. Grace finished primary school in Chivu before moving on to Christ Mumbo High School in Rusape. She later began a Bachelor of Arts in English via correspondence with the University of London, but did not finish her studies there. Her pursuit of higher learning continued years later in China, where she studied Chinese language at Renmin University. Before she became a household name, Grace's life followed a quiet, traditional path. In 1983, she married Stanley Goraraza, an Air Force pilot. Together they had a son, Russell, born in 1984. By all outward appearances, she was a typical wife balancing work and family. Yet she was also working as a secretary in the office of the president, a role that would put her future on a collision course with history. Meeting Robert Mugabe, the scandal and transition to power. Grace's life changed. The moment she stepped into the world of Zimbabwe's presidential palace, working as a typist and secretary for President Robert Mugabe in the late 1980s, placed her in daily contact with the country's most powerful man. Mugabe was more than 40 years her senior and, at the time, still married to his much-admired wife, Sally Hayfron, who was terminally ill with cancer. The relationship between Grace and Robert Mugabe began as an illicit affair. Their growing closeness became an open secret in Harare's political circles. Mugabe himself later admitted that Sally was aware of and gave her reluctant blessing to the relationship before her death in 1992. Grace's divorce from Goraraza and subsequent relationship with Mugabe sparked headline-making scandal. Their lavish 1996 wedding was dubbed the wedding of the century in Zimbabwe. It included 40,000 guests and dignitaries, like Nelson Mandela. At just 31, Grace became First Lady alongside a husband 41 years older. The couple soon welcomed 3 children: Bona, Robert Jr., and Chatunga, cementing Grace's new status among the nation's elite. Role and influence as First Lady. Grace Mugabe wasted no time embracing and expanding her role as First Lady. She became known for her extravagant tastes, globe-trotting shopping trips, and the nickname Gucci Grace. Images of her luxury handbags and designer outfits stood in harsh contrast to Zimbabwe's grinding poverty, fueling public outrage and fascination in equal measure. But her influence ran deeper than designer labels. Grace's power grew as she allied herself with ambitious members of ZANU-PF, working to extend her reach beyond ceremonial duties. In 2014, she was appointed head of the ZANU-PF Women's League, securing a seat on the ruling party's key decision-making body. She championed policies favoring her supporters, led the Generation 40 faction, and openly challenged older party figures, such as Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa. Her ambitions shocked and divided the party. She led very public campaigns to remove rivals, most notably the dismissal of Vice President Joyce Mugabe. Grace's bold move to position herself as a possible presidential successor sent tremors through Zimbabwe's political world. Allegations of corruption, property grabs, and violent accusations of assault against a South African model became regular fixtures in the headlines. Grace Mugabe's time as First Lady redefined the role. She reshaped it from a background presence into a personal power base. Her ascent mirrored the changing nature of Zimbabwean politics, making her a formidable and polarizing figure whose outsized presence and ambitions affected a nation's destiny. Luxury and scandal. Grace Mugabe's lavish lifestyle. Grace Mugabe's lifestyle has fueled both international gossip and local outrage for decades. Her endless spending, passion for labels, and stunning properties paint a portrait of privilege rarely seen, especially in a nation battling hardship. As her style grew bolder, so did the scandals tied to her name. Let's break down the signature elements that shaped her reputation as Africa's most flamboyant First Lady. Designer, fashion, and opulent spending. The moniker Gucci Grace did not come lightly. Grace Mugabe became a global symbol of excess by splurging on designer fashion and high-ticket shopping trips. She was regularly spotted in the world's luxury capitals Paris, Milan, London, where reports say receipts from single shopping sprees skyrocketed to $75,000 or more. Her wardrobe rivaled any celebrity. Favorites included high-end labels like Salvatore Ferragamo, Prada, Bali, Jimmy Choo, and Christian Louboutin. She didn't just flaunt handbags, she was obsessed with shoes, reportedly purchasing dozens of Ferragamo pairs once. Telling friends she had narrow feet fit only for top luxury. Diamonds and precious gems were her other obsessions, including a $4 million ring bought for her wedding anniversary and diamond-encrusted watches that flashed in front of cameras. Her passion for international fashion wasn't just about personal image. It set her apart, giving her an untouchable air amid Zimbabwe's economic collapse. While many Zimbabweans struggled to buy basics, Grace relished designer shopping streets. Her chauffeur-driven cars often bulging with luxury goods, mansions, farms, and global properties. Grace Mugabe's real estate appetite matched her taste for fashion. Everywhere she went, she left a trail of extravagant homes and properties, scattered from Harare to Hong Kong. Some of her most notable holdings included multiple farm estates seized under Zimbabwe's controversial land reform policies. The Omega Dairy Farm, said to be one of the largest in southern Africa, highlights the scale of her landholdings. A glittering mansion nicknamed Blue Roof in Harare, loaded with imported marble, crystal chandeliers, and custom furnishings. International properties, stretching to luxury apartments in Hong Kong, upscale homes in Singapore and Malaysia, and reports of ownership tied to Dubai. Diplomatic leaks pointed to these locations as safe havens for stashing family wealth. These assets not only showcased personal wealth, but highlighted inequality at the harshest possible time. As Zimbabwe's economy reeled, the Mugabe family's property empire seemed to grow even larger, often protected through secretive offshore accounts in places like Switzerland and the Channel Islands. Media spotlight and public outrage, no matter the city or occasion, Grace Mugabe rarely stayed off the front pages. Paparazzi snapped her every outing, charity event, or political rally, her designer outfits and diamond jewelry often shining brighter than her message. Her flashy style turned into an international meme, with the nickname Gucci Grace sticking fast. Yet for millions of Zimbabweans, this was not just tabloid fodder. Her endless spending sprees and consumption labeled her the first shopper, sparking furious protests at home and heated international commentary. As Mugabe tightened his grip on power and the country's economy spiraled, news outlets contrasted Grace's luxury with the daily struggles of ordinary people. Social media exploded with images of her shopping in Europe, while Zimbabweans lined up for bread. Every new piece of jewelry or car became a lightning rod for national anger. Scandal wasn't far behind. Rumors of violence, diamond smuggling, and misusing state funds followed her everywhere. Nearly every property or shopping trip invited questions about how she paid for it all. Her rise to power and showy wealth became a symbol of wider rot inside Zimbabwe's ruling elite, fueling the kind of outrage that still lingers long after her fall from the political stage. Wealth, power, and controversy. Net worth. In 2025, the Mugabe name is forever connected to stories of riches, influence, and explosive headlines. As the widow of Robert Mugabe, Grace Mugabe found herself at the heart of both unimaginable privilege and fierce public backlash. From diamonds to sprawling farmlands to high-end shops, her wealth has always been a magnet for curiosity and resentment. The story of her fortune is a mix of legitimate business, political spoils, and assets uncovered by rivals, courts, and whistleblowers. Let's look at how she built and protected her empire, the fallout from global sanctions, and what her net worth may actually be in 2025. Tracing the sources of wealth: diamonds, land, and business. Grace Mugabe's financial rise mirrors Zimbabwe's twists and turns over the last 3 decades. Her influence and fortunes grew through a web of powerful opportunities, most impossible to separate from her time in power. Here's where the money flows in. Land holdings. Few outside Mugabe's inner circle own as much land. Court papers and estate records list at least 21 farms, including the massive Mazo citrus estates and dairy operations. Most were seized during Zimbabwe's controversial land reforms, often with little compensation to former owners. Diamonds and mining. The Mugabe family's alleged ties to Zimbabwe's diamond trade have always been an open secret. Grace is rumored to have benefited from Marange diamond fields, with profits channeled through shell companies and hidden accounts. The diamond pipeline transformed her status from First Lady to wealthy businesswoman. Business ventures, luxury, hotels, a booming dairy business, notably Gushungo Dairy Estates, and claims of interest in gold mining, provided steady income. These ventures, often protected by political muscle, gave Grace a cushion against shifting fortunes. Overseas assets. Headlines reveal apartments and mansions in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and possibly Dubai. These foreign deals helped keep Mugabe family money safe from Zimbabwe's chronic instability. The pattern is clear. wealth built on land deals, natural resources, and well-timed business moves, all turbocharged by political connections others could only dream about. Legal troubles, sanctions, and asset seizures. Privilege wasn't the only thing that came from the Mugabe name. As the list of assets grew, so did the legal challenges and a storm of global sanctions. International sanctions, from 2002 onward. Both the US and EU imposed sanctions aimed at senior Zimbabwean officials, including Grace. These measures targeted luxury purchases and blocked overseas assets, but failed to halt lavish spending. Asset freezes, travel bans, and blocked bank accounts followed Grace wherever she went. Legal disputes, public court battles revealed more about Mugabe family wealth than any government probe. Divorce papers, inheritance squabbles, and lawsuits, with business partners pulled properties and secret accounts into public view. Grace herself has faced legal trouble over a diamond ring dispute and allegations of physically assaulting a model in South Africa. Asset seizures and revelations. On several occasions, foreign countries threatened or attempted to seize Grace's properties, such as in Hong Kong. At home, political shifts after the 2017 coup led to attempts by rivals to grab Mugabe estates or scrutinize offshore holdings. Sanctions and legal action couldn't cut off Grace Mugabe's vast asset base, but they exposed the complex ways she managed her fortune. Her networks and shell companies often kept the full scale of her wealth hidden from authorities and the public. Estimating Grace Mugabe's net worth in 2025. Pinning down Grace Mugabe's net worth has always been guesswork. Official claims are modest and rarely match media estimates or what court cases reveal. What do we actually know about her financial standing in 2025? Here's a breakdown based on reliable estimates and recent reports. Land and real estate. The Mazo farms and dairy estates alone are valued at tens of millions of US dollars. Grace's Blue Roof Harare mansion, a symbol of her spending, is reported to be worth over $9 million. Properties in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Dubai, where confirmed boost her portfolio above $100 million in tangible assets, jewelry and luxury cars. Her diamond collections and car fleet have a collective value of several $1 million. Receipts from jewelry purchases and legal filings mention a single ring costing over $1.35 million, and fleets of Rolls-Royce and Range Rover vehicles. Business, income, investments in local dairy, agriculture, and reported overseas business interests bring in steady annual revenue. But these are tightly held and their books remain closed to outsiders. Offshore holdings, diplomatic leaks, and investigative journalists put speculative figures on offshore accounts and company stakes. Some estimates claim Grace and her immediate family could control up to $1 billion. When including assets kept in secretive financial centers. Reality check, public disclosures and court documents show far lower figures, sometimes under $20 million, citing just a handful of houses, a farm, and modest cash reserves. Investigations and sanctions lists point to hidden assets, rarely, if ever, included in local court filings. The bottom line, Grace Mugabe's net worth in 2025 likely falls somewhere between $100 million and several $100 million, depending on which assets get counted and which stay off the record. The true figure will remain contested for as long as secrecy, shell companies, and political deals protect the Mugabe fortune. What's not in dispute is this. Her wealth stands as a bold monument to the intersection of politics, power, and money in modern Africa. Grace Mugabe leaves a mark on Zimbabwe that goes beyond her sudden rise and lavish spending. Her marriages, connected her to the highest levels of power, giving her unmatched influence and access. She lived in luxury while most struggled, and her fortune remains a symbol of how politics and privilege shaped Zimbabwe's story over the past 30 years. Long after her days as First Lady, debates rage on about the true cost of her wealth and the legacy she built. Her choices, both personal and financial, sparked national arguments over fairness, justice, and what leadership should mean. There's no sign these debates will fade anytime soon. Grace Mugabe's rise and lifestyle continue to challenge how Zimbabweans see their leaders and themselves. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts below and join the ongoing conversation about power, legacy, and the lessons history should teach us.